Hello and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, right? Teach you how to start flipping and wholesaling houses in New York. Or if you're already doing how to grow your business, I am out of town, so different setup today. So the question I get sometimes is, at what stage, if you want to JV a deal with me, what stage should you bring it to me and what should you tell the seller? So this is what I usually tell people. First of all, do not bring a deal to me unless you've spoken to the seller. And I mean the person who can make the decision, right? Unfortunately, I do get people telling me, well, I have a great deal. It's a house that's in bad shape. That is not a deal. It's a deal when you speak to a seller and a seller has indicated that they want to sell. Even if they want to sell for a price that seems high, it still may be a deal. So after you've spoken to a seller and you know that they want to sell, and you know the story, you know why they want to sell, you've asked them what price they want to sell, and you've got maybe you have an indication, even if you don't, then you can bring the deal to me. And then what do you tell them? So I will go on an appointment with you if it seems like a good, promising situation. I will meet with the seller. I will negotiate with the seller for you if it seems like a good deal. Obviously, if a seller wants a very high price, I may not go on the appointment with you, but different situations call for different actions. So what you tell them is just tell them, this is my partner, right? This is the money guy, the guy who's going to be bringing the money. And I think most sellers understand that. So people ask me, well, should I negotiate a price? Don't negotiate a price, because here's the crazy part, and this is what nobody tells you when you're learning this and when you see on the internet. You're not going to know what price you should buy it at. I mean, you're probably not going to know, right? It's easy. You see people in very homogenous markets, like in North Carolina and certain parts of Texas, where everybody knows you can buy a property for $70,000, it's a deal. But in our area, in New York City suburbs, in Long Island, New York, or northern New York, the Hudson Valley, there's a tremendous range of inventory. We have properties built in the 1800s, we have properties built much later, and it's very hard to know what a deal is and what isn't a deal. So if you have a seller and you have an address and you have somebody who wants to sell, then you can contact me and we can go through it. And I may tell you straight up, this doesn't seem like it's a deal. That happens a lot. Or I may tell you, listen, it might be a deal. Maybe it's worth going to visit it, or do you know what condition it is? And you got to ask the seller a series of questions, right? You want to find out basically the 4 pillars of motivation from Brent Daniels, the great Brent Daniels from the TTP, Talk to People service. He's great, and he has the 4 pillars, and these are the 4 pillars that investors buy on, and these are probably the order that you should ask. Time, so when do they want to sell, right? Do they want to, sometimes it's right away, sometimes it's I'm in no rush, sometimes it's I don't have any place to go, right? Both ends of that are good for us, right? Because if you are going to sell to a retail buyer, you're going to be on their schedule. And I just spoke to a seller yesterday who says he thinks he wants to list it, but he wants to sell by the end of August. And we're in the middle of July. I said, listen, that's going to be very hard, because a retail, regular, standard user, end user buyer is going to take 3 months to get a mortgage, all right? 2 to 3 months to get a mortgage. So if they need to close quickly, that may be good for us. And if they don't know where they're going, they want an open-ended contract or just a lot of time or flexibility, that's good for us too. So that's time, that's number 1. Number 2 is reason. Why are they selling, right? If they don't have a good reason to sell, chances are they're not going to sell at a discount. Sometimes they won't tell you the good reason to sell, but if you ask somebody why they're selling and they go, I don't know, right? It's a big indication that they're probably not going to sell to an investor, right? But if they have a real good reason, right? I have to, my mother is at a late stage Alzheimer's. I want to spend the last few months with her. I got to get down to visit her in Florida. I got to spend time with her in Florida. That's a serious reason. I need money. I can't afford it. That's a serious reason. There are a lot of good reasons to sell. So that's time and reason. The third thing is condition. What's the condition of the property, right? So that's a tough one to really get into, because people will say it's decent or it's okay for something that's disgusting and for something that's great. So that's harder to understand. But you want to get into it, and the beauty of 4 words, somebody will say it's a knockdown, it's a gut job, it's terrible, that kind of thing. That's really what you want to hear. And then the 4th one is price. So I have a whole system of how to ask for price. Sometimes you can just ask for price and they'll give it to you. But if they're asking $100,000 above what it's really worth, it's probably going to be difficult for them to sell to an investor. But those are the 4 pillars of motivation. I have a great script. If you want the script, you can just shoot me a comment with your email address. I'll email you the script. I think my script is probably worth $5,000. It's so freaking awesome. I used so many great people that I've used to mold that script. I've used Josh Hines from Baltimore. to change the order of the script. I've used Brent Daniels TTP for the script. I've used John Martinez training for a lot of the psychology and how to get a price in there, and it helps me get price probably 70 to 80% of the time, where I used to get price maybe 20% of the time. So my script is awesome, and you can get it from me. It's very helpful. I'd go through the script on any seller if you want. It'll give you tremendous insight, and the way you say it is very important too, right? And it's a lot. I got a lot of this from Josh Hines. So, like, I used to just ask, when would you want to sell it? That's a bad question, right? You want a future pace, right? And this is a combination of John Martinez from the REI Sales Academy and Josh Hines. And you want to basically say to him, listen, if we agree on price and all the major details, when would you want to sell it? And that already puts him in the frame of mind that he's selling. And that's a very different question than asking him, hey, when do you want to sell it? Because the guy that's got his guard up, and in New York, a lot of people have their guard up, they're not going to tell you that. No rush, anytime. I'm in no rush. A lot of people say, no, I'm in no rush. But then you get into it, and they're like, well, if we come to an agreement, I'd really sell it right away. And that's a very different answer. And you can get a very different answer by asking that question, which seems like the same question two different ways. And for condition, you can get into it. I train my callers and leads manager and myself now to try and get off the phone quicker with people, because I want to speak to more people. And I just say to them, listen, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being a disaster and 10 being the cover of a magazine, where would you rate it? And anybody who gives you a 7 or less, well, a lot of people are going to give you a 7, even if it's disgusting. If they're giving you low numbers, like a 4 or 3, that's great. I'm sorry, I'm getting some text. Oh, well, that's a good text. By the way, I get a lot of bad text while I'm recording these. That's a really good text. So, okay, now, here's the situation. You need, so then, if you're bringing me in, just say, hey, I have a partner, I want him to see it, can he come? And then I'll go. And again, the difference between you, if you're starting, and me, is just that I'm pretty comfortable talking to sellers, and I can usually dig deeper. I'm not perfect, by the way. I'm far from perfect. But I can usually dig to see if there is motivation. I've gone on appointments with people who wanted to JV me a deal, and I'm like, something's wrong here, or this doesn't seem right, or this is a great deal. And I can usually tell that pretty quickly going there. Also, there's sometimes I'll see some things that you won't. So it's not easy. Comping out properties and getting the value is not so simple. So you may look and say, well, this seems great. All these properties are selling for this number, and then I'm going to tell you, hey, you missed it because this is a different school district, or this is in the wrong part of town. I know you're comping it out based on the city, but it's not always that case. So I can be helpful. I don't want to go on crappy appointments. You as a beginner should go on crappy appointments, because every appointment you go on makes the next appointment easier for you. I go on every appointment, even if somebody asked me for $1 million for a house that's worth $100,000, I'd probably go on the appointment just to get over your fear and to feel more comfortable when you're talking to sellers. I'd go on every appointment. But if a guy's asking for $100,000 for a property that's worth $1 million, I'm happy to go on that appointment, obviously, and see what's going on. So at what stage? I would say after you've spoken to a seller and he's expressed interest, and you've asked him some of the basic questions from my script, or the basic questions, and you know that, listen, when somebody calls me and says, I have a deal, I go, what's the story? And then they'll start telling me things that I go, what's the story? Why is this seller selling? What's the motivation? What's the potential to make money? And very often it's not a deal. Oh, the guy wants $500,000. I go, the house is worth $500. Yeah, but it's a big lot. That's not going to make the deal work, right? And there's just a lot of things that you being a new person may not understand what makes the deal work. But I'm happy to help you. You can call me with deals, but again, don't call me ever with say, oh, I saw something listed on the MLS. Looks like a deal. I'd say that those are 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000 work out. I don't want to see properties that are listed. They're almost never a deal. And we can go through, and I've gone through videos. Maybe I'll do another video on why, when a property is listed on the MLS, it's probably not a deal. Maybe I should do that. Maybe the next video. So I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're interested in my course that teaches how to do this, go to howtoflipnewyorkcourse.com. If you're interested in coaching from me, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. Whatever medium you're watching on, please click, give me a thumbs up with a like. The likes really help. And keep the comments coming. This came from a comment a couple days ago. I try to get to my comments quickly. There are no bad comments or no bad questions. If it's a simple answer, I'll just reply with an answer. If it's a topic that I do in depth, I will send you a link to a video that I did on it, or multiple videos I've done on it. And if it's a new topic or something that hasn't been asked, I'll do a whole video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching. I really appreciate it.